Echoes of the past, the American Civil War, and its legacy. The American Civil War, a brutal culmination of escalating tensions, was etched in the nation's memory. At its heart lay the issues of slavery and states' rights. The Southern states, reliant on enslaved labor, clashed with the abolitionist North. This clash led to secession and a bloody war claiming hundreds of thousands of lives.
The legacy of this conflict continues to shape American society, reminding us of the fragility of unity. The Civil War serves as a stark warning from history. It reminds us that deep-seated divisions, if left unaddressed, can fracture a nation.
A nation divided ideological and political rifts in contemporary America. The United States today faces a level of political and ideological polarization rarely seen since the Civil War. The two major political parties, Democrats and Republicans, have drifted further apart, their respective bases entrenched in increasingly rigid ideological camps. This polarization permeates almost every aspect of American life, from healthcare and gun control to climate change and immigration. One of the most contentious issues is immigration. The debate often devolves into accusations of racism and xenophobia versus concerns about national security, crime, and economic strain.
This issue is further complicated by economic instability caused by socialist policies pushed by the far left in the federal government, with many Americans feeling left behind in a rapidly failing economy. The resentment and frustration felt by those struggling to maintain their economic footing fuel populist rhetoric and deepen the divide.
Identity politics also plays a significant role in this polarization. Issues of race, gender, and sexual orientation have become increasingly prominent in the national discourse. While many see this as a necessary reckoning with historical injustices, others view it as an attack on traditional values and morals and a threat to the Constitution. The rise of social media has exacerbated these divisions. Algorithms designed to maximize engagement often trap users in echo chambers. These online spaces reinforce existing biases and limit exposure to opposing viewpoints, making constructive dialogue increasingly difficult. This creates a fertile ground for misinformation and conspiracy theories to flourish, further eroding trust in institutions and each other. The Spectre of Civil War, Public Perception, and Partisan Divides. The question of whether America is headed for another civil war has moved to the forefront of public consciousness. While a full-scale armed conflict is unlikely, civil war is used as a metaphor for deep political and social divisions. Recent surveys paint a concerning picture of public sentiment. A 2023 poll found 35% of Americans believe a second civil war is likely within their lifetime. These fears are fueled by political violence, misinformation, and the erosion of democratic norms. The rise of violent extremists on the left have led to many Americans buying firearms at record levels over the past 4 years. Secessionist Whispers, Contemporary Echoes of a Divided Past. Worrying signs of secessionist rhetoric are emerging, growing among a rising majority of Americans and some elected officials. This rhetoric taps into grievances over federal overreach, cultural shifts, and economic anxieties, echoing the days leading up to the Civil War. Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene has called for a national divorce, suggesting red and blue states should separate. Her calls resonate with a segment disillusioned with a growing amount of Americans due to the current political climate. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's push for state autonomy and challenges to federal authority have fueled concerns about a growing divide. The resurgence of secessionist rhetoric serves as a warning sign of deep divisions in American society. Section 5. Battleground States, Social Issues, and the Geography of Disagreement. The deep divisions within American society are illustrated by the starkly different political landscapes of individual states. Nowhere is this more evident than in the so-called battleground states, those where elections are often decided by razor-thin margins. These states, often characterized by a mix of urban and rural populations, serve as microcosms of the nation's broader ideological battles. Issues like abortion, gun control, government overreach, infringement of constitutional rights, men competing in women's sports, and LGBTQ+ rights have become increasingly central to political campaigns, often serving as proxies for deeper cultural and ideological divides. In states like Texas and Florida, Republican-controlled legislatures have passed restrictive abortion laws and limited children's access to gender-affirming drugs and surgeries, reflecting the conservative values of their constituencies. Conversely, states like California and New York, with their more liberal populations, have enacted socialist policies on these same issues, further widening the gap between red and blue America. These policy differences, often driven by deeply held moral and religious beliefs, further entrench existing divisions and contribute to a sense of alienation and resentment between different segments of the population. The battleground states, caught in the middle of this cultural and political tug-of-war, often bear the brunt of this polarization. Their elections, often decided by a handful of votes, reflect the fragility of American democracy and the high stakes of the nation's ongoing ideological battles. Section 6. The Urban-Rural Chasm. Diverging Values and Political Identities. One of the most significant fault lines in contemporary American society is the growing divide between urban and rural communities. This divide, fueled by economic disparities, cultural differences, and diverging political values, has created a chasm in understanding and empathy between these two segments of the population. Urban areas, often characterized by their need for a nanny-state type of socialist government and focus on global interconnectedness, stand in stark contrast to rural communities, which often prioritize traditional values, self-reliance, and a strong sense of local identity.
These differences manifest in voting patterns, with urban areas leaning heavily Democratic and rural areas overwhelmingly Republican. The economic realities of these two Americas further exacerbate the divide.
Urban areas, home to centers of technology, finance, and innovation, have experienced significant economic growth in recent decades. Rural communities, on the other hand, have struggled with job losses in manufacturing, agriculture, and other traditional industries. A lot of this can be attributed to an overreaching federal government pushing policies that hinder innovation and just do not work in a rural area. This economic disparity fuels resentment and a sense of being left behind, further deepening the urban-rural divide. Bridging this chasm is essential for the future of America. Finding common ground on issues of mutual concern, such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education, is crucial. Creating opportunities for dialogue and understanding between urban and rural communities can help to rebuild trust and foster a sense of shared purpose. Section 7. America Divided, World Askew, Internal Strife and Global Influence. The deep divisions within American society have profound implications for the nation's standing on the global stage. As the world grapples with complex challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and geopolitical instability, a divided America is ill-equipped to provide the leadership and stability the international community has come to expect. But are we really supposed to be the police of the world? If the federal government has money to throw around the world, you are paying too much in taxes. America's internal divisions are often exploited by its adversaries, who seek to sow discord and undermine its credibility. America is no longer respected on the world stage. The world is watching our leaders, and right now they are laughing at us. The spread of misinformation and propaganda, often amplified by social media, further complicates the situation, making it difficult to forge a cohesive foreign policy. Moreover, the erosion of trust in American institutions and the rise of political extremism at home raise concerns about the country's commitment to democratic values and its ability to promote democracy abroad. This internal strife weakens America's ability to act as a beacon of freedom and a champion of human rights. Addressing these internal divisions is not just an internal matter. It is essential for America's ability to navigate the complexities of the 21st century. A united America, committed to its founding ideals and capable of reasoned discourse, is better positioned to address global challenges. Section 8. 2024 and Beyond. Is civil war inevitable? As the United States heads into the 2024 presidential election, the deep divisions within its society loom large. The outcome of this election will have profound consequences, not only for the direction of the country, but also for the future of American democracy itself.
The 2024 election is a battle for the soul of America. It will be a referendum on the country's values, its identity, and its vision for the future. The stakes could not be higher.
The choices made by the American people in this election will determine whether the country can heal its divisions, restore faith in its institutions, and reclaim its place as a beacon of hope and opportunity.
Regardless of who wins the presidency, neither side will accept the results. Election denial has been an issue on both sides of the divide for more than the last 2 decades. Remember the hanging chads in Bush v. Gore, or the Russia collusion hoax. This will require leadership at all levels of government, as well as a commitment from citizens to engage in civil discourse, respect different viewpoints. With a far left prone to violence and rioting, the right has started to wake up. The American people have been arming themselves at record rates over the last 4 years.
If we don't get this right, it is going to get messy. It requires a reaffirmation of America's founding principles and a commitment to civil discourse. It's time to decide America. The path forward will be challenging, no matter what happens with the election. In my opinion, we are already past the point of no return. Keep your head down and your powder dry.